At the beginning of this video, there was originally going to be a quote-unquote funny cold opening, but no matter how many times I filmed it and tried to put it together, it just wasn't funny. However, there is one scene from this cold opening that does become sort of funnier without context, so I hope you enjoy.
Hey, have you ever played Intelligent Systems Genealogy of the Holy War?
No.
With my love for Deirdre's please punish me. Only me.
Now you have.
Elibe, Lyn, and Hector are probably Fire Emblem's most iconic trio. However, lots of people forget about another Elibean trio that had just as much story significance as the RGB Lords. These three are Nergal, Ninian, and Nils. Nergal is Fire Emblem 7's main villain, but he wasn't always such a bad guy. A long time before the events of the Blazing Blade, Nergal was a kind father to his children Ninian and Nils, and had a wife named Aenir. However, their happy family was sadly broken when Aenir was kidnapped during the Scouring. To protect his children, Nergal sent Ninian and Nils through the Dragon's Gate. It's never clearly stated how Aenir's story ends, but it's heavily implied that she was killed by the people who kidnapped her. To get his children back, Nergal settles in the desert village of Arcadia and tries to gain enough power to open the Dragon's Gate himself. This sounds really pure and great, right? What a great dad. Well, it's not pure and not great. Nergal's studies in magic eventually leads him to quintessence, the life force that all living beings possess within. Quintessence can be gained, and it can be taken away. Nergal focuses on taking away quintessence from living creatures. Initially, Nergal only does this with small animals, but eventually he moves into killing humans.
How amusing!
Obviously, this is not okay, and he's banished from Arcadia by Athos and the Divine Dragons. After traveling through the Dragon's Gate, Ninian and Nils comfortably settled in their new realm. The world beyond the Dragon's Gate is a place where the effects of the ending winter don't take place. Therefore, Ninian and Nils can retain their dragon form while living in the realm. Ninian became a well-respected shrine priestess, and Nils probably picked up the flute. But this world was just not enough for them. They really wanted to get back to Elibe. And hey, a friendly mysterious voice was calling them anyway. What's the harm?
Of course.
So Ninian and Nils pass through the Dragon's Gate once more, losing their quintessence and reverting back to their human forms. This is what they wanted. Everything is happy, right? No, this is Fire Emblem. People aren't allowed to be happy, especially not people in Elibe. Nergal, corrupt with the power of quintessence, completely forgets the reason why he wanted to open the Dragon's Gate. Was it for his children? No, of course it's because he's destined to rule over Elibe for the rest of forever. That's the reason. Ninian and Nils get captured by their father, but eventually escape. Now with both of his children on the run, Nergal hires the Black Fang to find them. Eventually the Black Fang catches up with the siblings in that place and kidnaps Ninian. Nils meets Lyn and attempts to fight off the remaining Fang members, and Eliud saves Ninian on the way back to their hideout. After accompanying Lyn's party back to Caelin, Ninian and Nils continue their adventure around Elibe, and then get captured again. This time in captivity, they meet Eliud's father, Elbert. He becomes good friends with the siblings and helps them flee via a getaway boat. But then there is a terrible storm, and Nils gets thrown overboard. Ninian is left alone on the boat and eventually rescued by the RGB Lords and the Fargus pirates. After another attempted kidnapping, Ninian and the crew agree to go to the Dragon's Gate. Nils washes up on Valor and uses his patented dragon sense to know that he must also go to the Dragon's Gate. After Ninian arrives there, she is, yes, and possessed by Nergal so that he can open the gate. But Nils arrives at exactly the same time and prevents the ritual from happening. The group flees from the Dragon's Gate. After seeing how Ninian was easily taken advantage of, Nils transfers her some of his patented dragon powers. The RGB Lord army continues their journey across Elibe, now with Ninian serving as their personal dancer, and Nils as their fortune teller. During this time, Ninian begins to fall in love with this certain, special red-haired lord boy. But there's no time to act on these feelings right now. Nergal returns with more quintessence, and Ninian sacrifices her power to Nils. To protect the army, she leaves with Nergal. Knowing that she's fallen in love with Elibe, Nergal taunts Ninian about being half-dragon, asking her what Elibe would think if he found out. Of course, Ninian doesn't like that, and she reverts to her dragon form and loses most of her memories. The only thing that she knows is that she has to see Elibe. Well, this thought came at the worst possible time. Ninian sees Elibe once again, but this is after he gains Durandal, and Durandal unfortunately hates dragons. Ninian is unintentionally killed by Elibe and Durandal, and she tragically dies in his arms. There's another attempted Nils kidnapping, but Athos fends them off. Nils and the RGB Lord crew know that they have to kill Nergal as quickly as possible to avenge Ninian. This leads us to the final chapter. During the final chapter, Nergal is killed by the RGB crew, but not before revealing exactly why it is he covers his eye. When being banished from Arcadia, his friend Athos wounded him with a nasty hit from 4 Blaze. In Nergal's last moments of life, he remembers his reasoning for opening the Dragon's Gate: his children. Although his children happen to be right there with him, he opens the gate anyway before he dies. 3 fire dragons emerge from the portal, and the already weakened RGB crew think that they might be a little screwed.
Prepare to die!
But Bramamon to the rescue! The legendary Bramamon revives Ninian in her dragon form. She defeats 2 of the fire dragons, and the rest of the crew work together to take down the last one. With that, Ninian and Nils can finally achieve their original goal: living happily in Elibe. Just kidding, no they can't. Nils reveals that the air of Elibe isn't as great as it used to be, and it will eventually kill both himself and Ninian after a short period of time. They both must return to the world beyond the Dragon's Gate. If Ninian and Elibe happen to have an A support, Ninian will not leave Elibe and stay to become the mother of Roy. She dies shortly after. Nils goes back to the world beyond the Dragon's Gate alone, permanently sealing the Dragon's Gate forever. Next time on this series of Elibe lore, we're going back to covering the weapons. But if you're interested in more character stories, there'll be more of that too. Stay tuned!